billion naira. The 10ers also have rates of between 11 and 11.95%. The open market operation is one of the ways the Central Bank of Nigeria mops up excess liquidity from the banking sector. Oil prices dropped further on Tuesday, pushing Brent crude to a one-week low of less than $113 per barrel. Brent oil for October delivery dipped by 74 cents to $112.98 per barrel, while U.S. crude also for delivery next month dropped to as low as $108.21 per barrel. Analysts are predicting that oil prices would spike sharply if the conflict in the Middle East spreads to oil-producing nations such as Iran and Iraq.
On the foreign scene, despite threats made by the United States that it would carry out military strikes against Syria, it's left a window of negotiation open for the Middle Eastern country. The U.S. President Barack Obama has agreed to stay his hand if Syria agrees to place its chemical weapons stockpile under international control.
However, President Obama remains skeptical the Syrian government would follow through.
To the United States. It is a ban on the worst kinds of weapons that are indiscriminate, that don't distinguish between somebody in uniform and an infant child. And for that reason, the overwhelming majority of the world has said, you can't use these. And my intentions throughout this process has been to ensure that the blatant use of chemical weapons that we saw doesn't happen again. If, in fact, there's a way to accomplish that diplomatically, that is overwhelmingly my preference. I have instructed John Kerry to talk directly to the Russians and run this to ground. And if we can exhaust these diplomatic efforts and come up with a formula that gives the international community a verifiable, enforceable mechanism to deal with these chemical weapons in Syria, then I'm all for it. But we're going to have to see specifics. And I think it is reasonable to assume that we would not be at this point if there were not a credible military threat standing behind the norm against the use of chemical weapons.
U.S. President Barack Obama. In Asia, for 4 men in India, it's time to face the consequences of their actions after they were found guilty of the fatal gang rape of a student in the Indian capital Delhi last December. The 23-year-old woman was brutally assaulted on a bus and died 2 weeks later. Her death led to days of huge protests across India in a wave of unprecedented anger. It also forced the introduction of tough new laws to punish sexual offenders. The 4 men, who all denied the charges, are expected to be sentenced tomorrow. But lawyers for 3 of the men said they would appeal against the convictions. They faced the death penalty over the attack on the physiotherapy student.
As expected, we start with tennis. World number 2, Rafael Nadal, proved too much for world number 1, Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic in 4 sets to yesterday.
Well, to win yesterday's men's single as the U.S. Open, it is his second triumph at Flushing Meadows after his 2010 victory and the 13th Grand Slam title of his career. He crowned his brilliant year by defeating Djokovic 6-2, 3-6, 6-4, 6-1 to win at Arthur Ashe. The number 2 ranked Spaniard added his second Grand Slam crown this season to his French Open triumph when the top-seeded Serb dumped a forehand into the net, sending Nadal down onto his back before he rolled face down and stopped in joy. The left-hander missed last year's tournament at Flushing Meadows because of a knee injury, but collected the $2.6 million prize at stake this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the second time, your U.S. Open champion, Rafael Nadal.
Well, savoring that win, Rafa Nadal admits his second U.S. Open crown is the most emotional victory of his career. The match was a tour record-setting 37th meeting between the two rivals, eclipsing the 36 clashes between John McEnroe and Ivan Lendl. The world number 2 improved his lead in their series to 22 victories and 15 losses.
For a few things, this season is probably the most emotional one in my career. So I felt that I did everything right to have my chance here. So, you know, you play one match against one of the best players of the history, like this Novak, and number 1 in the world, in probably his favorite surface. So I know I have to be almost perfect to win. I say the other day here. And means a lot for me have this trophy for me today with me today. No?
It's part of my life. I mean, many times you fall as an athlete, and you know, you have to learn the lesson and keep on going, keep on fighting, keep on improving. That's what we're here for. And I'm still 26, and I believe there is the best time for my career is about to come. I feel that, and I believe it. As long as I believe it, it's the fire of the love towards the game is inside of me, and as long as that's present, as long as I feel it, I'm going to play this sport with all my heart, and as I did in the last 10 years.
Well, the Djokovic juggernaut has finally found his nemesis.
I am not going to make any comment on that. But I like the way he reacted to his loss.
Well, of course, it has to be graceful.
It takes courage to handle a loss as well.
Game set and match on sports news.
In this track at this hour, thank you for watching. I am Adeshewa Josh.
And I'm Charles Aruka. Up next is the channel's Book Club.
Welcome to the channel's Book Club. The 31st of August 2013 was the closing date for receiving entries for the channel's Book Club Prize for Literature. After considering all the entries, the panel of judges came up with a list of 10 finalists. They are Charles Obaze Honor, Dipo Ojo Olamide, Tam George Orafiri, God's Favor Nna, Emelumba Chidera, Ubuzo Chinonzo, Efyong Lydia, Nwagu Chibuekem, Maduka Ebere, and Oladipo Eniola. These bright students come